Okay, GIS has.
Hello, everyone. I would like you all to welcome to our live session. Firstly, I would like to thank GISPP that joined hands with CyberX for arranging an amazing panel discussion on such a powerful topic that is harassment in cybersecurity team and how it is being managed. Global Information Security Society for the Professionals of Pakistan was initiated in 2016 by a group of Pakistani information security professionals living and working in Saudi Arabia. Despite being a humble start, GISP is now actively present on different social connectivity platforms, including Telegram, Signal, Facebook, LinkedIn, and largely on WhatsApp, where you can catch them on their latest updates. Well, some of the greatest achievements of JSPE that which have in their bucket includes exclusive job opportunities, hiring, knowledge sharing, information security awareness, collective broadcasting, and capacity building. Well, moving on towards our topic. An unwanted behavior which you find offensive or which you makes feel intimidated or humiliated. It can happen on its own or alongside other forms of discrimination. That unwanted behavior could be your spoken words or your written words or some abusive language. It can be also different emails, tweets, or comments on social networking site. That could be any sort of image, physical gesture, facial kind expressions, and jokes, and so on. These all comes under single umbrella, which is harassment. And mind it is not gender specific at all. It has been a serious issue since long before the recent time. Many people don't speak up about their experiences, and it is confirmed that 75% of the people who experience harassment do not report it. They may fear damage or to their career or may think no one will believe them. So, this is Hiba Zia, currently working as an information security analyst and a certified risk and information systems control, having diverse experience in risk management, vulnerability assessment, incident management, and secure software development, being associated with the financial institution throughout the career. Well, I'm joined by the two amazing panelists from the quite interesting background. And before diving into the deep discussion on our topic, I would like to introduce each of them with myself. So, I have with me Ms. Maleeha Masood. She is an IT professional with more than a decade experience, precisely in the field of information system auditing, information system cybersecurity complemented with project management practices, with a top tier organization having the right mix of technology, functional, and leadership acumen. She is also leading the information security department at one of the leading banks in Pakistan. She has also been established and headed the information security function at Silk Bank Limited in Pakistan prior to her experience with the bank. She was also engaged with the big four firms in Pakistan and also abroad. Moreover, she is a certified information security manager and a certified information system auditor as well. And she's having various industry standards certifications. Besides her professional association, currently she is volunteering ISACA International as she lead tech ambassador. Her research paper on cyber threat challenges and solution has been selected by ISACA International as well. He was chosen as one of the head of the information security among the 30 CISOs, HODs across the globe for Asia Pacific Cybersecurity Forum 2017. Well, thank you, Malia, for joining us.
Thank you so
Uh,
much. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for giving me this such a beautiful introductions. I am totally flattered. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All pleasures are ours. Well, then I have with me Miss Naina Emmanuel. She's a cybersecurity professional working as a cloud security engineer. She has experience of 5 years in the field of cybersecurity. She has worked as cybersecurity lead and a researcher in reputable security companies. She has also done her MS in information security from Comset University, Islamabad, and her achievement was that she was the topper of her batch. She has six research publications in the field of cyber and the cloud security as well. She has expertise in cloud infrastructure security, application pen testing, research writing, VPNs, honeypots, and many more. She has also some various industry standard certifications like CEH, SSCP, HCIA, CCNA, and so on. Well, if we get into more details on today's subject, there are a few concerns in everyone's mind, and which I would love to highlight and request our panelists to give their views, their feedbacks, and opinions to our everyone out there. Well, Maria, I would like to ask some questions from you and Nina. Well, in recent years, a lot of awareness has been come into light, like LGBT, diversity and inclusion, EOE, which is equal opportunity empowerment, harassment, and so on. However, harassment is a concern still fall in a gray area, and people have different concepts and misconception at the same time about it. So, how can you define harassment in actual term?
All right. Thank you, Hiba, for such a kind introduction. I would like to welcome everyone, and I would like to thank GISPP for such a good platform. And
Sorry, I
so,
think I lost the
harassment.
connection.
So, harassment is basically defined as any behavior of the nature that affects the dignity of a woman and a man as well, which is considered as unwanted, unacceptable, inappropriate, and offensive to the recipient. And that creates an intimidating, hostile, unstable, or offensive work environment. So, what we need to learn here that some occasional compliments that are socially and culturally acceptable and appropriate are not considered as harassment. Any interaction which is consensual, welcome, or shared is not considered as harassment. And harassment is not only a sexual harassment in a workplace, capturing images, stalking, bullying, and creating hostile work environment, humiliating treatment, and discriminatory attitude. All such kind of things are considered as harassment. Even making a sexual colored remarks, physical context, or demanding or requesting some unusual favors are also considered as harassment, which I believe that only sexual harassment is not the harassment that that is present in the workplace. They are continuous testing is also, or emailing or calling is also considered as harassment if we want to define it.
Thank you, Nana. Maria, would you like to add some point over here?
Yes, I agree with Nana's point, and Hiba, you have started with the very right direction, from the very right direction, and thank you so much for starting up with the very basic and very important question, I must say, because this is something which is very unfortunate. What I have seen so far, that though the topic is in the light, in the focus for quite some time, but still people are not very much aware about what exactly harassment is and what should they do in case they experience it. And very unfortunately, whenever we heard the term harassment, we subconsciously start linking it up with the sexual harassment, which is actually not true. Because sexual harassment, yes, does come under harassment, but it is not the only kind of harassment, is the one of the kind of the harassment. And there are many other kinds of harassment as well, which we need to be aware of. And the other misconception which you have already pointed out, that there is a misconception that maybe harassment is something which is gender specific or gender biased. Although harassment is not something which is gender biased, it is basically irrespective of gender type. So coming back to the definition, what exactly harassment is: basically harassment is describe any kind of ongoing torment. It could be any kind of, if somebody is abusing you, insulting you, or otherwise harming you on a regular basis, this called harassment. This is irrespective of its type. So harassment is, you can say in a more similar words, like similar terms, which is unwanted behavior. When I say unwanted behavior, which means if somebody wants to feel offensive, if you start feeling offensive, or somebody making you feel humiliated or intimidated, this come under. And when I say unwanted behavior, that means unwanted behavior could be spoken, or it could be a written words, or it could be some sort of abuse. Because harassment is a form of discrimination, so we need to understand that the most important part, which we highlighted earlier, that it's not a gender specific issue. It includes any unwanted physical or verbal behavior that humiliates you, that offends you, irrespective of your gender type.
So, Maleeha, as you said, it is an ongoing torment. So, it is a time bound issue. Does it go away with the time?
Well, honestly, generally harassment is a behavior that persists over time. It reminds us, it may remains uh, for some times, or it may get worsened by the passage of time, and wholly depend upon the situation. Sometimes it does go away when the harasser see that it's not making any effect on the targeted person. Having said that, there is also a possibility there is only one single time serious event could become under harassment instead of ongoing torment.
So, what do you say? How does it start?
This is basically an emotional imbalance for both the parties, for the harasser and the targeted person. Harassment occurs when somebody start making unwelcoming remarks, jokes, threatens, or intimidate you because of your race, religion, sex, your disability, your physical appearance, or any other ground of discrimination. As I said earlier, it is a behavior against the against your behavior, against your any kind of discrimination. So if somebody makes unwelcome physical contact with you, start touching you, tapping you, or pinching you, so it is basically the start of the harassment, which you need to understand, you should be aware of. And let me explain it with some of the examples. Let's say somebody belong to different religion in a workplace. Let's say some is here, wear bindi and on their forehead. So somebody making fun of that, somebody wearing a scarves, somebody having veil on their face, and people start making fun of because of their religious ground. And in the same way, if somebody belongs to a different kind of a community, they have different appearance, in like some people from the different countries have different colors of hairs. They have red hairs, they have blondes hair, like I have black colors of black hairs. So start making fun of because of your appearance, your because of your age, because of your gender, because of your any other disability which can be discriminated. So this come under. And in the same way, sexual harassment comes in, because when somebody uh, 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 j- start touching you, making unwelcoming remarks, unbearable remarks, in spite of several objections they been doing this, so this come under harassment, which you need to report to.
Right, right, Malia. And then how would you say that? How important is to keep harassment policies in code of conduct? What does the law says about it?
All right. As we see that bad ethics equals to bad business. And we've seen that over 50% of the large corporate economics failures have occurred as a result of unethical practices. So, harassment of any kind has no place in the workplace. If you are a employer subject to federal laws, you have a legal obligation to provide a work environment that is free from intimidation, insult, or ridicule based on some race, color, and religion. And you must be also concerned with preventing harassment, because you can sometimes be sued in your state courts depending upon which area you are living in. And therefore take steps to prevent and deal with the harassment in your workplace, because as an employer you may be held liable for your own act of harassment that affects the employees in the workplace, as well as your being a manager or being a employer, you're also responsible for the act of your employees and even harassment by your customers. For example, if you are involved with some third party, so your suppliers and others who regularly do business with you are liable from their sides as well. So it's very important that how you need to keep policies and code of conduct in your workplace, and creating and maintaining your ethical or code of conduct in your corporate does not just happens, right? It takes a lot of time. It takes a written code of conduct or ethics that is shared with all your employees, right? Clear and direct communication of your behavioral expectations and ethical behavior that constantly modeled and demonstrated by top leaders. So, if we talk about the laws, what are the laws that we can practice when you are facing some harassment? So, in Pakistan, we have enacted a newly law that is named as the Protection Against Harassment of Women at Workplace, and that was generated in 2010. So, a government of Pakistan not only enacted a special law for preventing sexual and other type of harassments at now it's clearly defines harassment and includes harassment at workplaces as well. So, in a law, if some harassers do some unwanted act with some employee, or employer do some unwanted act with the employee, so they have mentioned a punishment as well, that you can be punished for 1 to 3 years as well, and there can be a fine of up to 5 lakhs and or both. And in 2016, Pakistan's parliament passed the Prevention of Electronic Crimes Act, known as PICA, and that PICA is basically generated by FIA, that is Federal Investigation Agency in Pakistan, and they said they have a set of laws, right, which supports who would restrict online extremist content, hate speech, and curb the harassment of women on the internet. And not only the woman, any online act that even the man or the woman is involved, and they are doing some unwanted activity online. So FIA implements PICA in Pakistan, and there are other different laws in Canada and USA as well. So if we talk about law, so any country or any state that you are living in, they do have some kind of restriction and laws in their areas that you need to practice, and you need to get aware of that. So it's very important that your employers, your employees should be aware of that they are being harassed, and if they do some kind of harassment with others, so they will be punished. So these type of laws should be articulated to the people who are living around you. And this is a very high time that we should aware our employees that these type of laws are there. And it's a cybercrime wing in FIA that investigate and compliments, especially and take complaints from, especially from the women. So it's very important for us to have a code of conduct in your workplaces.
Well, Nana has added some really good point over here. Malia, do you really think that it is really important to keep the anti-harassment policy in code of conduct?
Yes, I believe a very important. When I say important, I mean really, really very important, because even when we are people become aware about the harassment and issues related like harassment, even then a small and medium-sized organization doesn't cover the concern in their code of conduct. Whilst employee safety should be their first priority. But good part is, as Nana already mentioned, that many countries' laws and industry regulator mandating it to be part of the policy. Some organization like mine, like financial institution, like banking sector in Pakistan, have zero tolerance policy when it's come to harassment if it proves, if the charges are proved. So yes, it is very important, and a different regulator, apart besides the banking sectors, are now mandating it and mandating it to be the part of the policy, as well as they are also creating awareness, but through training session, through broadcasting the policy across the organization. But I would like to do mention that harassment is something which is governed by state law, which vary by states. So it generally defined as a code of conduct which annoys, intimidate, or puts a person in a fear or their safety. So yes, this needs to be there in the code of conduct, and policy should be there. Despite of the fact, as I said earlier, still different organization doesn't cover the concern, which is very scary actually.
Well, right. Now, I'm going to ask the question that is related to the topic, especially like, does it really a harassment concern information security and cybersecurity, or it's just a misconception, Malia? Uh, what do you say about it?
There is a term in Latin, quid pro quo, which means favor or advantage giving in return for something. In simpler terms, I would like to say what for what and something for something. So yes, the concern does occur in the cybersecurity and information security team, and it's not just a misconception; it is there. See, as we need to understand, as a senior and experienced professional in the industry, that it is our responsibility to preach and create awareness among youngsters that never go for shortcuts, never go for any favor. I mean, never ask for any favor, because always be on merit, do your hard work, do things with the due diligence and as per your organizational norm. So the chances of becoming a victim to these sort of issues, including harassment, become very, very less. What I've seen in InfoSec so far, that people do get trained on the technical ground because they have a pressure to do so, which is very quite obvious. But when it comes to corporate culture or soft skills area, they have zero awareness. And the worst part is they don't have any interest to groom themselves on the soft skills and about corporate culture, because maybe they think this is the waste of time, maybe they don't need to, which again is very scary, because you need to be aware about the organizational culture. See, we are already facing a scarcity of information security professional in the field, and I have seen people who don't have the potentials and infosec skills and related technical skills, but they are sitting because just because of favoritism. So one way or the other they have to pay back, quid pro quo, something for something. And the two most important kind of harassment, which are very much there in the workplaces environment, is one which I already tell, quid pro quo, something for something, and hostile workplace environment. So these are there. So if you ask for a favor, so you need to pay back one way or the other. So you cannot eliminate it. Being on merit and being on the professional grounds, you can only eliminate this. But the concern is very much there in the cybersecurity field because of the scarcity.
Right. Well, then, Nana, what are your thoughts on it? What do you think? It is just a concern or it is a misconception? What are your thoughts on it?
So I would like to add that whenever there is a workplace and whenever there is a team involved, these types of concerns are there. IT team uses more internet related activities, so online harassment is there. Online harassment is used as an umbrella term to describe the use of the internet to harass, threaten, or maliciously embrace another party. So sending, posting, or sharing derogatory content is also known as cyber defamation. So it's not a misconception when we talk about harassments in IT or cybersecurity teams. But might be, I would like to add here that cyber teams are somewhat well aware of these things happening. As compared to the rest of the teams or rest of the people who are not involved in the technology that much, and they know cyber teams and IT teams basically know how to tackle such situation. So I would like to say that like if we see that we are in the middle of the global pandemic, and as a wave of anti-racism activism sweeps the nation, right? So they are hacking and hates speech and harassments have been increased in this global pandemic. So as things have been moved towards online activities like working from home and Zoom or team meetings, so are the cyber security concerns as well. So there are whenever there are the people involved, whenever, as Maleeha has mentioned, whenever you are starting taking favors from your colleagues, or whenever you are starting taking privileges from your work environment, so you are prone to such type of activities or such type of harassments. So it doesn't matter if there is an IT team or there is an cyber team. Whenever there are the people involved, such type of things would definitely happen. So in my opinion, cybersecurity experts and cybersecurity and IT users are also prone to such type of harassments. And in this climate of extreme uncertainty and unease, the tensions playing out IRL and are sure to escalate the digital realm. And COVID-19 has already brought a rise in online attacks against the scientists and public health experts. So cybersecurity harassment is present in security and IT teams.
Perfect, perfect. Well, Nana, when it comes to workplace harassment, how many types of harassment are there?
Right. So, if we want to divide that, how many types are there? So, there are 10 major types of harassments, right? So, basically, we have a misconception whenever we talk about harassment, and people think that only sexual harassment is the harassment that is present in any workplace. So, the number one is a discriminatory harassment, right? As we have already mentioned, that this is the form of the harassment that happens on the basis of protected clauses like race, sexuality, age, gender, religion, and even because of the disability of any person. So let me explain it a little bit. Like racial harassment means that an employee can be harassed because of their race and culture. They can be harassed because of their age. They can be harassed because of their sexual based harassment, right? And because of their disability. Someone might not be able to speak in a good manner, so people usually mock them. So that is a part of the harassment, right? So second type of harassment is based on the religion, right? Showing hatred, disgust, and disrespect to your fellows member, right, because of their religion and because of their religious beliefs is also a type of harassment. And if we talk about the third type of harassment, and that is a personal harassment, right? People doesn't know that, doesn't include this thing in the harassment part. But for example, if someone is just doing inappropriate comments, offensive jokes, personal humiliation, and critical remarks, just because of their general disliking. So such type of harassments is also because someone doesn't like you personally, so they are making for example, criticizing behavior with you. So such type of harassment is also is a harassment when someone does that. And then fourth one is a physical harassment, right? So not only the sexual one, just a physical harassment. If someone is attacking you physically, they are threatening you physically, they are nudging you, right? They are poking you and they are pinching you. Such type of physical harassment is also comes under the umbrella of harassment in a workplace. And the fifth type that I would like to add here is the power harassment, right? So this kind of harassment occur when there is a misuse of power in the hierarchy of the management team, right? So making it impossible to meet a deadline, asking for unnecessary work audits, demanding work that is below the capacity of the employee are the most common behavior. And people thinks that, okay, this is the behavior that employer is supposed to do. And but if you are asking your employee to do some work that is beyond their capacity, right, that is beyond their work hours, this is also a kind of a harassment, and this is known as a power harassment. And there is a psychological harassment. The sixth type is psychological harassment. Any kind of behavior in the workplace that causes mental distress to the reasonable person, right? This harassment is subtle and it is very difficult to see and identify. And some common acts that you can identify is isolating an employee, right? Belittling his or her thoughts and spreading rumors about him or her, criticizing or challenging everyone or everything that he or she says. So these type of harassment is psychologically that you are mentally torturing your employee. So these type of harassments are also there. And then there is a very common, that is a sexual harassment, unwelcomed, offensive, and humiliating behavior, right? That is sexual in nature, and we most of the people know that. And sexual harassment is not only the physical one, that is direct, indirect, verbal, and non-verbal, and not behaviors are also known as sexual harassment. And the eighth type is the third party harassment, and this kind of harassment is done by the vendors. And we think that only when we talk about the workplace harassment, so employees and employers are involved. It's not that. Your third party vendors, your suppliers, your customers or clients, right, these are also involved in the harassment as well. So generally, to the perceived lower level of professionals such as sales people, assistants, and receptionists, if they are facing such type of harassment, so this comes under the umbrella of the third party harassment. And there is a verbal harassment, which is a ninth type of the harassment. So verbal harassment is when an employee is persistently unpleasant, rude, and mean to another. For example, at your workplace, repeatedly one found replying to one's idea as, oh, that's silly, or that's because you doesn't know what you are doing, or saying such type of things in the group discussions without any explanation. They are just saying, okay, that's silly, your ideas are silly. So saying those type of things also comes under the harassment when you are talking about your workplace. And there is a very common nowadays, when we are living in a digital world, there is a cyberbullying, right? So any kind of harassment, which is a 10th type of harassment, which is cyberbullying. So any kind of harassment done on the internet and social media is cyberbullying. So common behaviors includes tagging in inappropriate memes, right? Texting constantly, emailing or posting disturbing and humiliating messages. And this kind of harassment often happen after the office hours, right? When you take off from your office, you get these kind of messages. But this can be still can be linked to the workplace harassment. Yes, having a rant on Facebook because your boss pulled you up for poor behavior during the day is not appropriate, right? So in my opinion, these are the 10 type of harassments that I've divided when we talk about the types of the harassments.
Well, Nana, you have explained it very well. And as you have already mentioned all the types, I just want to know from Maleeha, when being a professionalist and being a working lady, what her thoughts are on it, on the workplace harassment. And is there any kind which you want to discuss more about it?
Very rightly said, Nana has already described most of the kind of harassment. But when it's come to workplace harassment, nowadays the two most common type of harassment, as I have mentioned earlier, quid pro quo and the hostile workplace harassment, are now very much in, because as I said, we are looking for shortcuts, we are looking for the favors, so the quid pro quo is getting boom in the boom side. So we need to be very careful about these sort of harassment, which I said, quid pro quo, something for something, word for word. Yani, that means you are asking for some things which you have to pay back one way or the other. And the other is hostile workplace harassment, that is your colleagues or your supervisor making an unbearable environment for you. You are not able to work in that environment because of the stress, because of the remarks, because of the if they are overburdening you and making silly jokes to you, so they are actually making environment unbearable for you. And the at the end you will find your self esteem loss, and you had no choice other than leaving the organization. So hostile workplace environment is very much there, and it is quite difficult actually to recognize that this is a kind of harassment, and people are actually not aware of this kind of harassment. Otherwise, yes, there are many there are different categories of harassment, which Anana has already mentioned. One of kind is discriminatory harassment, which, as in the starting of the conversation, I have already mentioned, and with an example, that if somebody has a different religious belief and you are making fun of because of their physical appearance, because of their religious ground. And the same is goes for if they belongs to a different community, if they belongs to different race, and they have, because of that, they have a different physical appearance, or because of their gender type. Because if like in cybersecurity, when I started my career, so it is actually the man world. And I, at different places I was working with, I was the only female there. So I did get the privilege. World is not alike, everybody is not like that, but I did get the privilege. But as well as I experienced different opinions and different types of people I get associated with. So it could be a gender base, or it could be a disability. Somebody have difficulty in walking, somebody is difficulty in speaking, or they have a slow thought process, they have difficulty in speaking, like somebody they are a stammer or something, have the difficulty in writing or understanding things. So we need to create such an environment, so that these people should come along with us. But with the harassment, I must say, discriminatory harassment is there, which which is very much there. And beside these harassment, we have power harassment. Your boss has making misuse of your power, and giving you undue pressure which you are not supposed to get. So and the worst part is people are basically not aware of that this does come under the harassment. Power harassment is there, and then on the other side there are psychological harassment. There are you know common behaviors. These are there are sexual harassment is there. And if somebody is appreciating the perfume or the scent you are wearing, you should be hands up your antennas, because it is the starting of something you need to be very careful of. That's why I said awareness is there. There is a third party harassment, which Naina has already mentioned. There is a verbal harassment, there is a cyberbullying is there, which is done after the office hours. This is not done in the workplace, but the cyberbullying is a kind of harassment which is done after office hours. Somebody is tagging you with the memes and unethical remarks, and putting you on the Facebook or Twitter or other social media, LinkedIn, and with the memes and the unethical or unbearable post you are tagged with, or making remarks about your work, your orientation, your physical appearance. So cyber is bullying is very much there. And above all these type of harassment, there is a one of kind of a harassment which often get neglected. It is retaliation harassment, which is getting the comfort zone, that if you make a complaint, you make a complaints against someone, then your job security. So that's why if you make a complaint against someone that somebody is harassing you, or some you have even you have enough evidences along with yourself, but it's still it is hard to prove. And because of this fear, there are different peoples who don't even raise that concern they are experiencing with, because retaliation harassment is there. They have no job security. They don't know if they get the NOC from the organization they are currently part of. So these are some of the type of harassment which are very much there. But the most common are cyberbullying, quid pro quo, hostile workplace harassment, power harassment, and sexual harassment, and so on. These are the most common and most talk about harassments.
Yeah, that was really informative from both of you. Well, as we have already discussed its impact on harassment's impact on someone's life. So, Nana, what do you say? What steps shall we take to minimize the harassment-related impact? How can it be minimized?
All right. The most effective weapon against harassment is prevention, right? So, harassment does not disappear on its own. In fact, it is more likely that when a problem is not addressed, the harassment will worsen and become more difficult to remedy as time goes on, right? So, prevention is one of the weapon against the harassment. So when it comes to that what steps can be taken to minimize the harassment, so there comes the responsibility from both the parties. When I say both, it means that from the employer side and from the employee side, right? So when I talk about the employer's side responsibility, the burden of preventing harassment resets on the employers. And in the United States and all over the world, employers are responsible. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. If Malia can continue from here.
Okay, so the thing is that harassment complaints are a serious matters, so the impact is obviously the impact is the same. Creating awareness is, I believe, is the very basic thing which we need to start with, or having policy and procedure in place in order to minimize the impact, or in ensuring that the harassment issues are being addressed appropriately. So investigate every complaint. Try not to make credibility judgment based on the reputation of the person complaining, or the person accused of harassment. In a in a very small business where where you know all the employees quite well, it is, I know, very difficult to do so, but do your best to remain objective until your investigation of the complaint is complete. And don't leave it to the parties involved to work it out. And these are some of the steps you can taking. And I must say awareness is one of the most important things you need to create with. I can see one of the questions on the chat box that legal frameworks and government rules are to protect laws and best practices for the future. So I would like to answer those questions as well. So how can we better educate future leaders about harassment and procedure? As I said, because I am linking it with this your current question, that uh, awareness need to be created by the leaders, as a team leader, as a head of the department, as the experienced professional of any organization or senior person in the industry, especially in information security. It is basically our responsibility to create awareness about the type of amendment. As we started with the debate, that people's only start linking harassment with the sexual harassment, but this is not the case actually. There are number of kind of harassment which we just mentioned, like power harassment. People are not aware that there is some kind of harassment which links to the power harassment. People often don't understand the discriminatory harassment. So yes, there should be a policy need to be established, and should be part of the code of conduct. Not only that, but also the policy need to be broadcast across the organization, and also some sort of training session which elaborate different kind of harassment maybe you are experiencing with, and how to cater those harassment. Because if in the initial step, if you do not stop the harasser of the act they are doing, so you will be in a big trouble. You will be in the mercy of that harasser. So the procedures need to be there. It is the industry leader responsibility to be part of such events and promote such events and to discuss those events. I am very grateful for the CyberX and GISSP to putting up this sensitive topic in today's in today's session, and in today's in the conference, and making it the part of the conference. I am very grateful to them.
Thank you, Malia. You explained really nice. And we have talked about all the major types of the harassment, the workplace harassments, the guidelines, the anti-harassment policies, and so on. So I just want to add a point over here, or a question, or it can be a question for you, that if we talk about little things like, is constantly messaging someone's also comes under harassment?
Well, to be very honest, it depends upon the situation. But as different state law, that by definition, harassment is when a person behave in a way which is intend to cause you distress, or make you harm, or something like that. It could be, as I said, it could be spoken or it could be a verbal. So it could be a written word. So text message are basically comes under the written thing. So for example, as I said, it's totally depend upon the situation and the extent of the message and the content of the message. So one text message intend to distress you, maybe not come under the harassment. But when it comes to like ongoing, as I in my earlier in the early point of my discussion, as I said, something which is constantly harming you, it's an ongoing behavior. So if somebody is keep on messaging you and on and on and on, despite of you try to said him, okay, not to text you several years after even your several objections, he keeps on or she keeps on texting you just because to make you harm, does come under harassment. And sometimes it happens like one text message or one call, a phone call, may come under harassment is totally depends upon the extent or the uh, 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 matter they are dealing with. So yes, um, if somebody is constantly messaging you depending upon the situation and the matter they are texting you, it may come under harassment.
So, can I raise complaint for text harassment as well? Is there any way of it?
As I said, harassment is legally defined as repeated unwanted contact, as a unwanted behavior, which could be a verbal or written, anything. So, if somebody is sending you abusive text messages or text spams as well, does come under harassment. Regardless of the situation you are dealing with, you have all the right to raise the concerns. But because harassment issues are very sensitive in nature, so I must say you need to you must ask someone who is ask the concern somebody, definitely be responsible in your organization and dealing with such or sort of issue, maybe legal department, maybe HR department. So first, before you raising the any complaint or anything like that, if you are thinking to go in that directions, you need to have some counseling, because as I said, we are not very much familiar with the legal technicalities, and there are very less awareness, very these topics are very less discussed, and people not really have enough information regarding such issues. So you need to have a proper counseling before raising your concerns. As I said, your organization must have some department, some concerns who are dealing with that. Talk with them, ask with them. You are thinking you are going in a direction and that you think that this come under harassment, which you need to address, and you can ask them. They first get counseling session, and then even then, if you think you need to raise the concern and you raise the complaint, then you have all the right to do so.
Well, thank you so much, Malia. That can be really helpful for the most of us. Well, Nana, are you with us? Are you fine now?
Yes, yes. I'm sorry for the disturbance. I'm good now. I'm good now. Thank you, Hiba.
I hope you are well
Thank
now.
you.
Yes, I'm good.
Nana, would you like to enlighten us on our duty of care in relation to our workplace harassment?
Okay, can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, sure. I was asking, what is our duty of care in relation to a workplace harassment? What do you say about it?
Okay, when we talk about the duty of care and we talk about what should be the guidance in the workplace harassment. So, as an employer, you have a duty of care to your employees, right? This means you are required to take all the necessary precautions to ensure the physical and mental well-being of your staff. It's worth noting that employers' responsibility for health and safety also extends to anyone in their building, including clients and contractors. So, employers' duty of care in the workplace includes all responsibilities relating to health and safety, harassment, and stress as well. So, other employers' responsibility includes, when it comes to the duty of care, is providing health and safety trainings, right? Protecting staff from discrimination, as we've already talked about. Discriminatory harassment is very much there in any kind of workplaces. So managing and directing staff's misconduct, right? If you are seeing or if you are witnessing any kind of harassment going on with you or even with your colleagues, so it's very much important. It's your duty as an employer, as a manager, even with the as a HR, that you need to address your staff's misconduct, right? So another thing is managing and addressing grievance promptly and effectively, right? So providing adequate equipment or adequate training is need to be there to complete the task, right? So this task, provide guidance that specifically addresses victimization in the workplace, right? So victimization, when I say victimization, it is defined as action taken in an abusive manner, right, towards one or another employee that may lead to illness or exclusion from the workplace community. So they can for example, being in a workplace, an employer or the higher management, they can issue orders, right, prohibition, right, they can prohibit such type of conducts, and financial penalties they can charge you for such type of behaviors against employers which fail to fulfill their workplace obligations, right? So this helps to ensure compliance with the law and other provisions, right? Companies which breach the work environment rules, including through negligence, may face fines for a work environment offenses. So employer can also and employees right, they can terminate their duties, they can terminate their job due to their misconduct, including harassment and other type of misbehavior. As Maleeha has mentioned, in banks there is a tolerance policy, right? So if you see that such type of behavior is being happening around you, so you need to just terminate that person from your company. And whether or not harassment will ever occur in your place or even in a situation where you are involved, it is best to understand that what's right and what are the responsibilities you have, right? So by law there are protection in place for all the members of the workplace, and and are expected to act upon, right? It's not only that you just write the policies, it's very much important that all of the employees they act upon those policies. These policy implementation of those policies very much important. So and the safety standards established from employees type of thing. So I'll emphasize here that anyone you are working with, your third parties, your suppliers, your customers, they must know the policies of harassment of your company, of your organization. And if they are being harassed by any employee, or are witnessing harassment as done by employee, then their right may be in that they are legally allowed to take the appropriate action. And just as a different staff member of the business have duties and responsibility related to their job, and there are certain kind of preventions that you can do, like I've already mentioned, that prevention is the best cure for the harassment. So definitely there should be you should implement the policies, right? You should implement the rules, and not only the rules but keeping them up. Was not there when we talk about 10 to 15 years back, right? So you need to update the policies, that what kind of environment you are having nowadays, and enforcing them as well.
Well, thank you so much, Malia and Nana. Both of you have explained it exceptionally well about this topic. This was a really a great concern which everyone needs to put forward it. Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts with us. If I summarize the session in few words for you all, I would say we have discussed in detail about what actually harassment is, why we need robust anti-harassment policies intact, and what laws has to say about it. We have also discussed in our session about the multiple kinds or the types of the harassment. Most importantly, our greatest panelist provided clear vision on the harassment concerns in our information security and the cybersecurity team. And what you should do if you are being harassed is one of the things that is a great concern. But lastly, I would say we need to implement more training awareness sessions like this in future as well, to ensure the healthy environment for all. And it will provide the protection and support to those who feel harassed actually. So thank you, panelists, for joining us for
Thank you
and
so
sharing your thoughts.
Thank you so much, Hiba, for having
Thank you,
me.
Hiba. Thank you.
And thank you so much. I must say, I must appreciate CyberX and ZISSP for giving us the opportunity to talk about the most sensitive and less discussed issue. I must thank them also for putting up such a sensitive issue, a part of this conference. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Well, thank you everyone out there as well. Panel will be available after the event and any unanswered questions will be addressed. This is Hiba Zia signing off. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.